Jason had never been the outdoorsy type, but when his friend Mia invited him and two others, Leo and Sarah, on a weekend hiking trip, he figured he'd give it a try. They'd all grown distant since college, and Mia thought the retreat would help them reconnect. The hike took them deep into the northern woods of Oregon, where cell reception was as dead as the underbrush they crunched through. By evening, the group found a clearing and set up camp. That's when they saw it. A cabin old and leaning slightly, half swallowed by trees and moss. It wasn't on any of their maps. "Let's check it out," Leo said, already halfway there. The others followed reluctantly. The door creaked open with a groan. Not without it. "You said, tell it from the perspective of someone who experienced it." First person POV, ChatGPT said, "Absolutely. Here's a first-person 10-minute horror story told as if someone lived through it. The tone is personal, reflective, and meant to gradually ratchet up the dread." The cabin that remembers. I don't know why I'm writing this. Maybe to warn someone, maybe to convince myself it really happened. But I need to get it out. We weren't supposed to stay in the cabin. That's important. We were supposed to camp near Lake Merrow, just me, Leo, Mia, and Sarah. It was our first reunion in years, a chance to catch up, unplug, pretend adulthood hadn't scattered us in four directions. But then the rain started. It came down in sheets that first night, sudden and violent. Our tents buckled. Water got into everything. Sleeping bags, food, even our phones. That's when we found the cabin, or when it found us. We didn't see it at first. Just a faint light flickering through the trees. Leo thought it was another camper, maybe someone with a generator or a lantern. We pushed through the underbrush and found it. An old one-room structure, half swallowed by moss and trees. It shouldn't have had power, but a single bulb swung gently from the ceiling inside, casting a dull yellow glow. I still remember the way the door creaked open, like it had been waiting for us. Inside, everything was preserved. Dusty, but not decayed. There were 4 narrow beds with sheets tucked tight, a table set for 4, and a fireplace that sparked to life the moment Mia tossed in a match. That should have been a red flag, but we were wet, cold, and laughing at our luck. None of us thought to ask why there were 4 beds, or why everything was already prepared for us. That night, I dreamed of whispers, not voices, whispers, like leaves brushing my ears. But they were saying something, and in my dream, I understood. Stay. 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 When I woke up, I saw something written on the inside of the window where the condensation had collected. 4 words, like they were traced with a fingertip. "You're where you belong." I thought it was a prank. Sarah always liked creepy stuff, and I figured she was trying to freak me out. I laughed it off, wiped the glass, and went outside. But when I got to the woods, something was wrong. The trail was gone. I mean it. Gone. Just thick trees where there had been a path the day before. I tried to retrace our steps, but every direction looked the same. When I turned around to head back to the cabin, it was closer than it should have been, like it had moved. I didn't tell the others at first. I thought maybe I was tired, disoriented. We decided to try hiking out together the next morning. That night, the whispers returned, louder this time, not in a dream. Mia was the first to say it out loud. "Do you guys hear that?" We all froze, and then Sarah screamed. She was staring at the mirror over the fireplace, pale as a ghost. "There's someone behind us," she whispered. We turned. Nothing. Just shadows dancing in the firelight. But in the mirror, I swear to you, there were 5 people, not 4. The 5th was tall, hunched, with a face like damp paper, thin, sagging, half-rotted. It didn't move, just stood behind us, watching. Leo picked up the lamp and smashed the mirror. The whispers stopped. For a while. The next day, we packed up and tried to hike out again. We walked for hours. But every trail circled back to the same clearing, the same goddamn cabin. That night, the cabin was different. The beds had our names carved into the headboards. The table was set again, but this time, the plates held raw meat, still warm. And on the walls, pictures had appeared. faded old photos that hadn't been there before. In each one, we were standing in front of the cabin. But the photos were old, decades old. I had a mustache in one. Mia wore 70s bell-bottoms. Leo had graying hair. In every photo, we looked older, like we'd been there for years, like we'd always been. Sarah tried to run. She made it to the tree line before she vanished, just gone. No scream, no sound. We ran after her, screaming her name, but there was only silence. The woods swallowed her. We didn't speak that night. We just sat by the fire, afraid to sleep. Around midnight, I noticed the door had opened on its own. I saw a figure in the doorway. It was Sarah, but her skin was pale, wet, and her eyes were all black. She smiled and said, "The cabin remembers." Then she was gone. Leo lost it after that. Took the hatchet and tried to chop the place down, screaming that it was alive, that it was feeding off us. The walls bled. I saw them bleed. Dark, thick sap, or blood, or something worse. Mia was gone the next morning. Her bed was still made. I left Leo sleeping and tried to burn the cabin down. But the fire wouldn't catch. It just wouldn't. Like the wood was soaked from the inside, and the more I tried, the more I felt something behind me. Watching, waiting. That was 2 days ago, or a week, or a year. I don't know anymore. I'm alone now. Leo's bed is empty. His name is gone from the headboard. Only mine remains. Sometimes I hear footsteps on the roof. Sometimes I see shadows outside the windows that vanish when I look. But the worst part is the mirror. Yes, it's whole again. And tonight, there are 4 figures in it. One of them looks just like you. If you're reading this, please, don't come looking for the cabin. It remembers. And now, it remembers you too. People always say the woods are peaceful, quiet, healing. They've never been to Ashwood. I first heard about the cabin from my sister Elise. She booked it through some obscure rental site that didn't even have reviews. Just a few grainy photos and a description that promised total solitude. She needed a break after a messy breakup and wanted to go alone. She texted me a picture of herself by the cabin, smiling, thumbs up, with that crooked grin I hadn't seen since we were kids. That was the last time I heard from her. At first I thought she'd just gone off-grid. She liked that sort of thing. But days passed, then a week. Her phone went straight to voicemail. She never missed our weekly calls, not even when she was sick or pissed off at me. I filed a missing person report. The cops said they'd check it out, but I could tell they didn't care. Probably just needed space, they told me. People unplug all the time. So I went myself. The drive was long, miles of narrow roads and dense, suffocating trees. I almost missed the turnoff entirely. It wasn't marked, just a rusted chain across a dirt path and a small wooden sign that simply read, Ashwood. I stepped out of my car and everything felt wrong. You know that feeling when someone's staring at you? That prickle on the back of your neck? That's what it was like. Constant, heavy, but there was no one there. The cabin looked like the photo Elise sent. Small, simple, surrounded by thick pine trees. But the closer I got, the more it seemed off. The windows were too dark, like the glass absorbed light. The wood was warped in places, like it had been soaked and dried 100 times over. And there was no sound, no birds, no wind, just silence so thick it rang in my ears. Inside, it smelled like dirt and old wood. Dust coated everything except the table. There were 2 mugs on it. One was full of cold coffee. Elise's duffel bag sat near the couch, half unzipped. Her journal was on the armrest. I flipped through it. The first few pages were normal. Notes about hiking trails, the fresh air, how freeing it felt to be alone. Then, a change. There's someone in the trees. I see them at night, just standing, watching. I found footprints outside the cabin this morning. Barefoot, huge. The mirror in the bedroom keeps fogging up even when it's cold, like someone's breathing on it. The last entry was just one line. It won't let me leave. I froze. My skin crawled. I rushed outside to look for any signs of her. Nothing. No footprints, no tire tracks, just endless forest in every direction. I should have left then. I tried to. But the road was gone. I mean that literally. The dirt path I drove in on was just forest. Solid, undisturbed forest, like the trees had grown back in second. I panicked. I ran in what I thought was the direction of the road, calling Elise's name. After a few minutes, I came back around, to the cabin. No matter which way I walked, I ended up right back where I started. Like the forest was folding around me, corralling me. I went back inside and tried the radio on the shelf. Just static. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard movement outside. Not footsteps, dragging. Like something heavy, wet, being pulled through the dirt. Once I looked out the window. There were faces, dozens of them, half hidden behind trees, pale, sunken, eyes wide and empty, just watching. I blinked and they were gone. In the morning, the journal was open on the floor, a new page scribbled in frantic handwriting. It feeds on attention. Don't look too long. Don't think about it. It wants you to know it's there. Elise is gone. Something is wearing her skin. That's when I saw her, standing just inside the tree line. Same flannel shirt, same crooked smile, but her eyes didn't move. She didn't blink. I whispered her name. She cocked her head like a confused animal, then smiled wider, too wide. And then she whispered back, voice like splinters, "You came home." I slammed the door and barricaded it with a chair. It's been 3 days since then, or 3 weeks. Time feels strange here. Every night she gets closer, just a little. I can hear her breathing through the walls, scratching at the windows, whispering words I can't understand. The cabin won't let me go, neither will she. I think it's using her face, her voice. I don't know if Elise ever made it here at all. I found a trap door in the floor this morning. It was hidden under the rug. I haven't opened it yet, but the scratching is coming from underneath now. If anyone finds this, don't come to Ashwood. Don't follow the voice. Don't open the door when she knocks, because she will knock, and she will sound just like someone you love. I've never told anyone this. Not the police, not my friends, not even my therapist. It sounds insane, but I know what I saw, and more than that, I know what followed me home. It happened 2 years ago during one of the worst times in my life. I was deep into recovery, booze, pills, whatever numbed me. I was a mess. I had just relapsed for the 3rd time, lost my job, and my girlfriend had finally walked out for good. My sponsor, Tom, told me I needed to get away. Go clear your head, he said. Go somewhere quiet, somewhere with no temptations. Get clean, reset. He offered me the use of an old family cabin deep in upstate New York. Said it had belonged to his grandfather, hadn't been used in years, but it had running water, a wood stove, and enough food to get me through a couple weeks. No cell service, no distractions, he told me, just you and the trees. It sounded perfect. The drive out took nearly 6 hours. The last half hour was all dirt road, no signage. I only found the place because Tom told me to count 13 steps up the hill after parking by a crooked pine. And sure enough, just as he'd said, I found a narrow trail. And after a short walk, there it was. A one-room cabin, old but intact, squatting like a dark animal among the trees. The first thing I noticed was how quiet it was. Not peaceful, not serene, silent, no birds, no wind. Just an oppressive stillness that made the air feel heavier. Inside, the cabin was simple. Bed, stove, woodpile, pantry, one grimy window, and a steep staircase leading down to a basement. I peeked but didn't go down. I could smell dampness and rust, and something else I couldn't place. Something sour. I told myself it was mold. Just mold. The first few days were fine. I chopped wood, journaled, even meditated. The shakes hit me on day 2, the sweats and hallucinations by day 3, but I knew what to expect. I told myself it would pass. I just had to ride it out. That's when the dreams started. The first one was simple. I was standing at the top of the hill, looking down at the cabin. But something was walking around it, circling. Something tall, pale, with 2 long limbs and no face. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe. Just watched as it made its way to the front door and started to knock. 3 soft knocks. Then I'd wake up. The second dream was worse. Same cabin, same hill, but this time I was inside, hiding under the bed, and I heard the door creak open. Heavy footsteps crossed the room. Then a voice. Not human, not even animal, just wrong, like wood splitting and wind howling at once. It whispered, "Come down the steps." I woke up with a mouthful of dirt. I was outside, lying next to the basement door. That was when I realized I'd been sleepwalking. At least, that's what I told myself. I started locking the door and piling wood in front of it before bed. But it didn't help. Each night the dreams got more vivid, more real. And every morning, I'd wake up closer to that damn basement. One morning, the door was open. Not just unlocked, open. Hanging on its rusty hinges. And carved into the inside were words I hadn't noticed before. The 13th step is down. I didn't understand it. 13 steps had brought me up to the cabin. What did it mean that the 13th step was down? I tried calling Tom from the ridge. Still no signal. Tried hiking back to my car, but I got turned around. The woods didn't look the same anymore. Paths that were there before were gone. I swear the trees moved. I'd blink and they'd be closer. That night, the knocking started for real. 3 knocks. Software precise. Just like the dream. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe. Just lay in bed, heart hammering, waiting. Then, a voice came through the door. Same as before. Cracked wood, wind, and rot. "You've come this far. Just one more step." I pressed my hands over my ears and cried. I don't remember falling asleep. The next morning, I saw footprints outside. Barefoot. Long, deep. They led from the woods to the basement door and stopped. The door was closed again. Locked from the inside. I thought about leaving. About running through the woods until I hit a road or died trying. But something in me, curiosity, madness, addiction, I don't know, drove me to the edge. I had to know what was down there. That night, I brought a flashlight. I stood at the top of the basement stairs, one hand on the wall, counting each step as I descended. 1, 2, 3. The air grew colder. 4, 5, 6. The smell hit me then. Rotted meat, wet leaves, burnt hair. 7, 8, 9. My flashlight flickered. I kept going. 10, 11, 12. There was no 13th step, just dirt. I shined my light across the basement and saw the floor was uneven, sunken in the center, like something had clawed its way up from below. And in the middle of that pit was Elise, or something wearing her face. She looked up at me, hair hanging in strings across her face. Her mouth was too wide. Her eyes were all wrong, too dark, too deep, like there was nothing behind them. She spoke in that same splintered voice. "The 13th step is surrender." Then she smiled, and I saw her teeth weren't teeth. They were nails, rusted, bent, all jammed into black gums. I ran. God, I ran. I don't remember getting out. Just remember collapsing in the woods, waking up by my car the next morning with bloody feet and dirt under my fingernails. I drove until I hit signal, called Tom, and told him everything. He didn't say a word. When I finished, he just hung up. I called back. Voicemail. That night, I checked the rental site. The cabin listing was gone. The site itself didn't even exist anymore. I haven't heard from Tom since. Sometimes, late at night, I hear knocking. Just 3 soft taps on the window or the door or the wall behind my bed. I don't answer. I don't speak, because I know now what the 13th step really is. It isn't surrendering to healing, it's surrendering to